This week's episode is sponsored by Herzl Camp and the Herzl in the City benefit. One of the places I love most in the world is Herzl Camp, and easily one of the worst parts of last year was not working there in 2020. While I can't wait to get back to Webster, I am so excited about the virtual Herzl in the City benefit on the night of Thursday, April 22nd. This fast-paced night full of camp shenanigans will make you laugh, break your heart, and raise some money, too. Join co-chairs Andy and Libby Finn and Andrew and Allie Lifson and Herzl campers, staff, alumni, and friends from around the world for this once-in-a-lifetime global event. And to add in a little drama, if we raise enough money, your favorite Herzl director might just take the polar plunge live on camera. All proceeds fund our COVID-safe return to camp, a new outdoor dining pavilion, 60 new sinks, upgraded HVAC, PPE, testing, and a big increase in scholarships to help families who are struggling after this very challenging past year. New to this event, your donation will be doubled with a gift of $250 or more. Sign up for Herzl in the City at any level and receive a copy of Herzl's beloved songbook. That's right, folks. Support at any level equals your very own Herzl songbook. What's the catch? You must sign up by April 5th to snag this coveted gift. That is a hard deadline. We're also giving you an opportunity to use it. Sing along with us on Friday, April 23rd for a Facebook Live Shabbat song session with our very own Flip Fresh. Herzl in the City goes virtual on Thursday, April 22nd at 8 p.m. Central Time. For more information, go to bit.ly/Herzl in the City. That's bit.ly/HerzLinThecity. Welcome back to Spill the Soup, the podcast that gives you insight into the life of a 2021 teenager in these incredible times. I'm your host, Marley Comito, and this week we're going to be talking about self-expression, feminism, and finding your passions. Spill the Soup has partnered up with the incredible jGirls magazine in honor of Women's History Month and celebrating all of the amazing Jewish women across the world. Today, all the way from New York City, I am joined by Bella Rosenblatt. Bella,
Hi.
I want to welcome you to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So, if you just wanted to introduce yourself and maybe give us a short bio about who you are, what you do, and anything else you just wanted to include, feel free and go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Bella. As you said, I'm from New York City. I am a senior at LaGuardia High School for Music and Art and Performing Arts. It's a very long name. And I'm a vocal major there. So I have been studying, it's mostly classical voice for 4 years now. I am obviously a teen editor at jGirls, which is super amazing. jGirls is an online community and magazine written by and for self-identifying Jewish girls and non-binary folks. And it's been such an amazing experience to be on the board. We're actually accepting applications for next year's teen board right now. So you know, if you're listening, you should definitely apply. It's an amazing leadership experience. And just overall, you will meet such amazing people on the board. So we're accepting applications until April 11th. So make sure to look out for that.
Yes, beautiful. And while we're talking about jGirls, I just wanted to ask you how and why you wanted to really get involved and start working with them.
So I've always loved writing. I started writing plays when I was in like 5th grade. My mom is actually a playwright, and I was kind of like, when the pandemic started, I was like, found out about jGirls through my synagogue. I knew Elizabeth Mandel, who is the head of jGirls, and I was like, I'm gonna apply. I might as well, get to read other Jewish teens writing, and I just thought it would be a cool experience.
That's amazing. That sounds so fun. Oh my gosh. And I know you've always been interested in writing and music, so I kind of wanted to ask you what it's been like being a songwriter for so many years and what it was like to actually record your first album, which was totally amazing. And I just wanted to ask what really sparked your passion for music, or if it was something really specific in the beginning that truly, sparked the inspiration for your musical journey to begin so many years ago.
Yeah. I guess my answer to that would be that it all started with my father, who is a jazz guitarist. And I've just always grown up listening to jazz and hearing him play and, like kind of singing along with him. And when I was in 5th grade, I decided I wanted to start taking voice lessons. And it was kind of just like a given that I would take jazz voice lessons. So I started doing that, and jazz is a genre that is all about improvisation and all about sort of making the music your own. So that definitely prompted me to write songs and kind of want to make my own music. And yeah, so I didn't really start seriously writing music until high school when I joined a songwriting collective and class at my school. But I think that kind of always learning to sing jazz and performing jazz really helped that start.
That's amazing. And we are so excited that we're actually going to be hearing some of your music on the podcast. So I just wanted to ask you about the song that you're going to be sharing with us. What is your inspiration for most of your songs? How do you decide what to sing about, what to write about, the ins and outs of songwriting?
Yeah. So I'm going to be sharing a song called Wanderin' that I made in the fall of this year for the New Music Ensemble at my school, which is that collective of songwriters. And I actually wrote it with a friend of mine, Danielle Campbell. And yeah, I mean, I would say like people always ask me what my songs are about or like if the lyrics have a specific significance or story. And I never really know how to answer because a lot of it is like very personal or just like, I don't know, like these lyrics just came to me. Like, I wouldn't say I necessarily have a story or like an experience that I can attribute each thing to. But this song, I definitely could not tell you what it's about, but I really like it. And I'm excited for you guys to hear it.
Wandering on a 2x4, shadows lurking, someone's behind the door. I've been wandering on a 2x4, glass keeps cracking, it wasn't there before. I've been wandering on a 2x4, shadows lurking, someone's behind the door. Crimson autumn filled with angst in the air. She keeps turning to look for something that isn't there. Ooh, da, da, da. Ooh, she's looking for something that isn't there. Ooh, oh, oh. Turning to look for someone that isn't
So, outside of songwriting and singing and making music, I know that you are a very successful social activist. And so, I wanted to ask you, has or how has the pandemic impacted any activism you've promoted in the last year or so, and what has that really been like?
Yeah. So I run a Students for Planned Parenthood club at my high school, which I started in my sophomore year. And basically, we advocate, fundraise, and volunteer for Planned Parenthood in New York City. And it was actually really upsetting. We were supposed to go on a trip to Albany right before the pandemic hit, and we were going to lobby for a bill for better sex education. And right when the pandemic hit, we couldn't go. It was like our big, like, Planned Parenthood club trip. That really sucked. But it was kind of like motivating to be like, we're going to figure out how to keep doing this. We're not going to stop doing this, even if we can't be in person. And it was definitely hard because a lot of what we did was go to Planned Parenthood and we would, assemble safer sex kits and just do whatever volunteering we could, because it's really hard when you're not 18 yet to be able to actually volunteer for Planned Parenthood.
Yes.
But we are actually planning an online fundraiser of sorts right now. We're having everyone kind of make whatever like crafts they can. Like people are making bracelets and like bags, and my school is very creative, so people are doing some really cool stuff. And we're gonna like make a Depop page and sell it, and then have a kind of like show where people can donate, and we're gonna donate that all to Planned Parenthood. So we've kind of slowly come up with ways to continue doing
That's
it, continue supporting even during the pandemic.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask what your experience co-founding the first high school Students for Planned Parenthood club in the entire nation was like. Was your school community supportive? Did you receive any type of backlash? What was that whole experience like for you?
It was a great experience. It was definitely a bit difficult. We were like,
yeah.
I wouldn't say it was difficult for the reasons that you would think. We really did not receive any backlash. I would say that my school and my community is very supportive of this type of club. But it was just hard because it was like we were starting a club. We were sophomores. We were still kind of new to the school.
Yeah.
And we had to we kept trying to find different ways to get a connection with Planned Parenthood. And eventually we, found a really nice person who helped us out a lot, who worked there. But yeah, it was a really good experience.
Yeah, and what really drew you specifically to working with Planned Parenthood rather than other organizations? Was there someone or something or an idea you had? How did that all work out?
Yeah. So when I was young, my grandfather told me stories about, he's an OBGYN, and he told me stories about doing, saving women from back alley abortions because they couldn't get a legal abortion. And, he would see these women come in, they were on the verge of death because they tried to give themselves a coat hanger abortion or something like that. And he had to figure out how to save these people. So, and I've just always my mom has always instilled in me just a passion for fighting for abortion rights. So when I was I knew I wanted to get involved in some way with, women's reproductive health. I wanted to actually just go and volunteer at a clinic when I was in sophomore year, but I quickly figured out that I could not do that since I was underage. So I was like, how can I do this on a smaller scale? And that's how I did it.
That's amazing. And because we're both seniors now, do you think once you go on to college, you'll continue fighting for women's rights and joining another club or making one in college, wherever you intend to go?
Yeah, for sure. And there's actually, so I'm going to Wesleyan University, And I'm pretty sure
Oh,
that there is a Planned Parenthood organization of sorts there. So I will definitely join that. Um, and I would love to, now that I'm 18, I would love to actually go and volunteer at a clinic. That would be really amazing.
totally. So, on a different note, I just wanted to ask whether it's in your music, your activism, your school club, or even your Judaism, have you ever experienced any sort of hate or even anti Semitism while trying to share your passions publicly, especially in our generation, like such a public and social media influenced group of people? And how did you ever overcome any of that, if it happened? It's tough. It's a tough question because it's hard to. I say this to a lot of people. The worst part of being a teenager is caring so much about what other people think, and you want to express yourself, but you're nervous of society judging you. And so I know you're very public. You have your own album and this huge platform, and so I wondered
Yes,
if you ever
exactly.
experienced any of that, and it's a tough thing to go through.
Yeah, I would. I'm very lucky to be able to say that I really don't think I've ever experienced anti-Semitism. Um, I live in a vibrant Jewish community, and I've just always, I live in New York City. Like I've always just been surrounded by Jewish people. Um, I think definitely I have put myself in situations where I will have like difficult conversations with people who disagree with me, because I just think that that in general is a good thing to practice. I went to summer camp for many summers, and there I found people who, had
Yeah,
different viewpoints than me a lot more than I find that here, like at my school. Um, and I always like found it difficult to talk
yeah,
about abortion rights with people in my bunk, or just people there, and I was like, what's going on? Like, not everyone agrees with me, which is definitely something that I think a lot of New York City kids experience when they leave the city. um but I think like that was a really good experience to learn how to get across my viewpoints in a way that was respectful and, you know listen to the other side.
totally. And what is your best tactic to really educate other people that have opposing viewpoints than yours or don't quite understand and can grasp the entirety of abortion and women's reproduction rights that as you see it?
I feel like it's hard to say a certain tactic,
Okay.
because it's such a hard thing to like. It's so hard, especially just in today's political climate. Like, it is so difficult to get people to listen to each other. I think with
Yep.
listening, like, you have to um we actually did a workshop about having civil political discourse with jGirls, which I thought was so amazing and interesting.
Yeah.
um and what I took away from it was that you need to not only really listen to what the other person is saying, but also make them understand that you heard what they were saying. So kind of
Yes.
like, be like, I hear exactly what you're saying. Like, let them know that you understood them, because just like listening is something that we don't do enough when we have
Oh
these
my
types of
gosh.
conversations.
Yes, I couldn't have said it better myself. It's hard because, especially when you're in an argument with someone, you're both speaking so loudly on your point of view, but listening is the most important thing. And to make sure that the other person's voice is being heard, I think, is
Yeah,
important, even if you still don't agree with them. I
yeah,
love that.
for sure.
So that was great advice. But I also wanted to ask you, what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given? If you've ever kind of struggled with expressing yourself or sharing your passions with anybody, what was the best advice you took with you when you were getting to where you are now?
I think just anyone who told me not to doubt myself, especially when it came to my music, because it's so easy, especially when you go to a school where everyone around you is talented and is a musician. It's so easy to doubt yourself and compare yourself to others. Um,
Mhm.
but I think, especially when I was auditioning for the new music ensemble, which is really how I like got serious about songwriting. Just kind of like my friends and my peers who were like, you can do this. Like, you know, I don't know. I just think there were a lot of times where I was like, like I'm not actually good at this. Like, I don't know, like maybe I'm just fooling myself. But yeah, just knowing that you should stick with it.
I love it. Do you think you'll continue making music all through college and into your adult life?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully. I really don't know what I want to do with my life.
I don't know if any of us do.
Yeah, but music is, you know, a huge passion, so I will try to stick with it as much as I can.
That's amazing. And it makes me happy to hear that you have such a supportive family and school and community, and it seems like you have great friends. And so I'm happy that New York really is the place where dreams come true. I've always wanted to live there. So
yes, I love New York.
That's hilarious. And I mean, kind of on the note of advice, what would you give to anyone listening who may also be struggling to express their own passions? And aside from telling them never to doubt themselves, what is really the biggest confidence boost you think could help someone share who they want to be?
I think just to like let things roll off you. You know, there's always going to be things that are going to make you doubt yourself and make you not want to continue. But the biggest thing is that I think I took with me is that you need to let everything roll off you and not let everything affect you. Because otherwise you won't ever like, you know, gain the confidence to show the world what you're creating.
No, totally. And I've experienced that too. Even starting this podcast, I had a lot of anxiety of what my peers would think of me or my school or my community, just because, I don't know, I feel like podcasts are really something for celebrities and making music the same. And so the fact that I'm only 17, you're only 18, we don't have giant platforms yet. It's intimidating. And so I think my best advice would also just be, I knew that this would make me happy, just like music would make you happy. And so at the end of the day, you're really the only one looking out for your happiness. And something we forget too is that teens and most people are really just focused on themselves, and they don't care about you as much as they think, as much as you might think they do. Yes. So I think just that mindset, like you have to do what makes you happy, no matter what it will be. Judgment can come later, but maybe not. So I love that.
Yeah, it's amazing that you're doing this.
You too. Oh my gosh. Like I can't even begin to explain. You are, I know we're like the same age, so this is kind of weird, but you are like totally a role model and an inspiration.
Thank you.
So Bella, you mentioned that applications are now open to be a jGirls teen editor or photographer. So I just wanted to ask you how we can get people into that, encourage people to get into that.
Yeah, so the teen staff is a group of teenagers from all over the country who are basically given the opportunity to, you know, be part of a creative Jewish group of feminist leaders. And I am, you know, encouraging you with listeners with all my heart to apply. Applications are open till April 11th, and to learn more, you should visit jgirlsmagazine.org/apply.
Bella, you're incredible. We just met, and I totally feel like we could talk forever, but I believe that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much again for joining me this week and for sharing.
Thank you so much for having me.
And for sharing your one-of-a-kind experiences and wise wisdom with everyone listening. And thank you again to Herzl Camp for sponsoring this week's episode. And to the rest of you hearing this, thank you so much once again for listening to this week's episode of Spill the Soup. Before we go, please make sure to show some love for the podcast by subscribing and rating 5 stars to whatever platform you're listening on and wherever else you get your podcasts. We'll see you 2 weeks from now for our next episode. Stay tuned. Spill the Soup is part of the Jew Folk Podcast Network. Please subscribe, rate, and review the show wherever you get your podcasts. For more information, go to tcjewfolk.com/podcast or email the show at podcast@tcjewfolk.com.